Okay.
All right. All right. Now we are live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Will and Friends Real Estate Edition. We're going to be talking about real estate throughout the U.S. We have North Carolina. We have Lee Brown with North Carolina. We have Patrick, who's in Boston. And we have Juanita in Michigan. And I'll be covering Southern California or Orange County specifically. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Will Lau. I've been a realtor for the past 10 years now. And super excited to share with you not only the information here, but also pick the brains of our top agents around the US and seeing what's going on in the marketplace. And so with that, why don't we start with Lee? Lee, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit in regards to who you are, what area you service, and tell us some information about yourself.
I'm Lee Brown. I'm a 20-year realtor, which means this is my third weird market. So no big deal. It's coronavirus. It's just a moment. My office is located in the historic downtown area just north of Charlotte, North Carolina in Concord. And our market, of course, is one of the most stable large urban markets. And we're stable because nobody knows what state I'm in. They always say Charlotte, North Carolina. But when you talk to Patrick, he'll just say Boston. He doesn't have to say It's very interesting like that. But we draw in people because we're a financial center. We've become more of a technology center. We're one of the top 3 states for growth. And so we got people here. Our average price point is still around the 300 mark. So almost anybody can afford to buy here, which is a good thing. Yep. And yeah, I mean, I love living here. I'm one of the last natives of the Charlotte area because we've had such an influx of people, but it's a super diverse and happy and inclusive market. And I love that about the area where I live.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Lee. Why don't we go to Juanita? Why don't you share a little bit about yourself and the area you cover?
Perfect. Juanita Buscard Group Real Estate. We're in the West Michigan area. And the nice thing about where we're at, the average price point is actually about $200-$220. So extremely affordable. We're 40 minutes from Lake Michigan Beach, which is actually very nice beaches that we have here, even though we don't have an ocean. And we have a great downtown vibe that's been kind of building up over the last 10 or 15 years with the indoor markets and lots of restaurants. We were named, I think, Beer City by Forbes a few years ago. So lots of breweries around here. Art Prize, which comes around every September. Thousands of people come in to see art that gets shipped in from all over the world. So just a very fun, nice place to live. And like I said, very affordable too.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Juanita. Last but not least, we got Patrick.
So, yeah, I'm Patrick. I work right in Boston. I live north of the city. I service, Boston out to the 495 belt in North Middlesex, Suffolk, and Essex County. And it's an incredibly diverse market, and it's fascinating. It's a great place to live. There's so much going on. There's always something happening, but yeah, it's a fantastic place to call home.
And again, for those of you who do not know me, my name is Will Lau. Work with Keller Williams. Been in the business for past 10 years. I like to say I'm located in Disneyland, California. People are like, where's Anaheim? Where's Garden Grove? Just think about Disneyland. If you think about Disneyland, California, that's where I'm at. Service able 25 to 30 miles from there, from LA County, Orange County to Riverside County. And again, super excited to share with you what's been going on. But with that said, right now, I wanted to ask our panelists, what's been going on in the past? I was like, oh, in COVID, when March hit, what was it like? And then now, what is it like? But COVID in reality hasn't gone away. So I'll start with Lee. Lee, when COVID hit in that March, or at least it hit that March timeframe for us, what happened to your guys' market? Do you remember what was going on there?
It just went silent. So our problem before COVID hit us in March was lack of inventory. We were deemed non-essential in the Charlotte market. So we were not allowed to conduct professional real estate. And then when that started back up at the end of April, it was Katie bar the doors because everybody said, oh, Shazam, we can go do houses again. And so now our biggest problem is lack of inventory. Same problem we had going into the situation, because it's not like houses were being built in the meantime, even though those folks were essential. We're way behind on new construction starts like most places in the country. And with interest rates being stupidly low, I mean, I don't know why anybody doesn't try to buy right now. And millennials,
Amen.
They don't know. I mean, this is still historic average over 30 years is 6.5%. And so we're still at half price money. you're out of your mind if you don't buy. And our rents are out of control here. So my investors
Mhm.
from California, well, I can't afford to buy an O car. You can buy in Charlotte. They're buying stuff as fast as they can. One of my guys is in town right now deploying 25 million in multifamily because this is where the growth is happening. It's where the people are nice and we got good tenants too. So you should buy stuff.
Nice. Juanita, what happened during COVID when it hit for you?
Yeah, we were also just starting our spring market and, had a lot of people just starting to prepare to put their homes on the market. And we also had a very hard shutdown. In fact, we still have lawsuits going on between different parts of the state and the governor over different shutdowns. And so we were not allowed to leave our homes at all for 5 weeks as real estate agents to do anything real estate related. But what we found, to our surprise really, was that the buyers still wanted to buy and the sellers still wanted to sell. And so we did still sell at a lower, pace than usual. But one client, they were like, we've got time off, we're both home, we want to sell this thing, what do we got to do? And so they ended up emailing us something in the neighborhood of 300 photos of their home that we had to kind of scour through and pick the best ones. And so we actually did still sell some homes, even though we weren't able to show them during that time frame. Several of our buyers still wanted to buy. So we used video tours and all that kind of thing. And then just like what Lee said, once we were able to start back up again, the consumer was like, okay, great, let's just get back to normal here. And we did still have that lack of inventory. We've only been back to work for, I think, about 4 weeks. So we're really just hitting what is our normal busy springtime right now. Yeah. So, the calls are coming in. I want to sell, I want to buy. It feels like May here right now, as far as the market goes.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to really have a huge third and fourth quarter for sales. And we're seeing a lot of people who had been thinking about selling for a long time who are now starting to purchase first so they can choose what they want before letting go of what they have.
Patrick, how about you? What happened when COVID hit in Boston?
Sure. So, this past January was the lowest we had for inventory across the state since I've been in the business in 08. So that was already tough. And January is tough anyways in February around here. It doesn't stop sales by any means, but there's less. And so we never really shut down. There was about a week where real estate was deemed not essential, the very tail end of March. Even during that time, it was certainly still happening, in the cases here and there. When it became essential again, the problem, much like what these guys felt, was even less inventory. People pulled off the market. They weren't sure, were they going to get infected by people coming in? And, there was not risk tolerance there. And we have not recovered from that. Yes, the inventory levels are better, but they're essentially what they would be in, the middle of January normally. And I echo the sense that it's starting to feel more like spring now for me. Some people have probably felt that for about a month. Normally, I think around this time, I would be ready to say, okay, it's another month till August. I can take a vacation in August. We're going to be okay. I don't think that's happening. So it's been fascinating. And
fascinating is definitely the right word.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like there's a lot of similarities, maybe not as big of a lockdown or shutdown in regards to business as it was in Michigan for Juanita. But for California, we were deemed not essential for about like 7 to 10 days or so. It was like that murky line of like, oh, do we work or do we not work? Do we take the risk of getting a penalty or going to jail? Just hope that no one pulls us over, type of thing.
What is the penalty? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But after like the end of March, things started to pick up in regards to us being able to do real estate. And yet at the same time, that sentiment was there. You saw the demand have that sharp decline or steep decline. And what that's at the same time, the areas that were highly desirable because of school districts or work or because of the condition and the floor plan, they got bought up like a normal seller's market. They got purchased in within 14 days or less, multiple offers, despite not having any public open houses. In California, we're not supposed to have any public open houses. You have to do a scheduled private showing. And so that's definitely trickled into with the phase, I think we're in phase 3, and yet at the same time, California is sort of reeling back. I'm sure you guys see it in the news that we had the highest case on Tuesday at 7,000 people impacted or testing positive for COVID. So that's going to be very interesting moving forward, because we were seeing that V curve, the steep decline, and then ever since May, it's been shooting right back up with the demand. Lee, I know you're on a time constraint, so I just want to spend a little more time with you. What are you seeing in North Carolina right now? And what's maybe an average price point? Average price point, bed, bath, all those type of information for a home in that area.
So your average price point in the Charlotte market is right around 300, obviously depending on what zip code you're in and what school district you're in. And that's going to get you a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage house. Now, obviously you can change your fit and finish and your price points and everything else in town, but there's a lot of opportunity here. Somebody spending 150 can get a house, but they're going to be in a massive bidding war for it amongst not just owner occupants and first time buyers, but amongst investors. And so it's tricky times, but it's doable. And it's where consumers are well advised to have a realtor who's educated, right? It's not necessarily about your years in the business. It's about the amount of time you spend perfecting your craft so that you can teach them how to win. I will say that we are avoiding those buyer love letters that you see in a lot of markets, because I believe they're a fair housing violation. And I do not want to see any buyer lose a chance at a house because their agent misguided them on putting a personal photo in with their letter, because whether you like it or not, shenanigans do happen. So we do not appreciate those. And I'll tell my seller clients, and I get a little mad about it. I tell them, I'm like, I know it's attached to the offer. I need your permission to strip it from the offer so that it doesn't cloud your judgment, because we got to look at the terms and the numbers and be as fair as possible. And I think that agents around the country need to be doing the same damn thing, because it makes my blood boil how some people are treated. But other than that, so big demand for land. If there's anybody that wants to move out of town, buddy, they are calling right now. They're starting family compounds. We have preppers that are buying property. We've got a lot of people that are saying, I want out of the densely populated markets.
Right, you're telling a little bit about that in regards to people in New York and other areas that were planning to move out. You're seeing that now already.
Well, I mean, we're the #2 biggest financial center in the country. People never realize that. You say finances, they think stock market and Wall Street. They forget that Charlotte's got trading floors here, which is kind of funny. So we have the headquarters for Wells Fargo and Bank of America, and now Truist, and all of these other little banks are here. So people that would have moved from New York, if things were perfect, have said, well, it's close enough, I'm going to go. And so we always joke the moving trucks come down full and go back empty, because nobody wants to go back to the tax environment of the Northeast and the Acela corridor if you can help it. So we're seeing that accelerate. We've seen the movement of parents moving here accelerate. We have a giantly growing 55 plus market. They used to go to Florida, but they don't really want the heat. They want the 4 seasons. Sure. And the kids and grandkids are here. And so I would say at least half of the buyers I'm working with right now are 55 plus, doing 1031s, moving into this market to be near their grandkids, and also to be 2 hours from the mountains, 3 hours from the beach, with the 4th busiest airport in the country. Nobody realizes Charlotte's got the 4th busiest airport because we have the hub for American Airlines. And while that's been challenging in this environment, we're also about to get direct flights to China and India. So we're very excited about that, because that's a huge environment advantage for the commercial market. So it's a good place to be. The market's wide open. And I will tell you that what we need right now is the county and city governments to stop being so restrictive on zoning and permits. We need more multifamily. We need more duplexes, triplexes, and quads, because they're an effective use of the land. And that helps us address the affordability issue in the market. Because even though we're very affordable, we still have workforce housing that has needs. And it's hard to fulfill that. And I can't even imagine what that's like up in Boston and similar areas.
We need you to come up and talk to our politicians. They don't listen to me.
You want me to go shake my long bony mom finger at them, I'll do it. But that's why I stay involved with the Realtors political action work. The bulk of what we're doing right now has to do with what we do for workforce housing and affordability. It's not got anything to do with when people hear politics, they're like, oh, you're putting money in politicians' pockets. Like, no, I support guys like Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina, who's the best guy we have in DC. Tim introduced opportunity zones, which are changing the ignored census tracts in this country from a development standpoint. So I have investors all day long. They're looking at opportunity zones and how they can drive their capital in to change people's lives for the better and make money in the process. It's like a win, 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 win. And so we have to be working more for holistic solutions. And I'll tell you that I told you people should be asking for a realtor who's educated and knows how to manage multiple offers without violating fair housing. You better also pick realtors that are involved politically, because we are not going to solve the problems of this country by putting our blinders on and just selling one house at the time. Hell, Will, you're in California. Have you seen that TOPA bullshit that's hitting over in the Berkeley area? I mean, there is some crazy stuff happening in California, and you people need to put the clamp on it, because it's going to infect the rest of the country otherwise, worse than coronavirus will. So make sure you're involved with the RAF. I'm going to assume that you're involved with RAF already.
Sure. With that said, Lee, I know the time constraint.
Yeah.
In regards to what you see, if you have a crystal ball, because I'm sure you're running low on time, what the crystal ball you see in North Carolina, what do you project? If it is going to be a seller's market, if it is a buyer's market, what would you advise those clients who are interested in buying right now or selling? What would you say if you had that crystal ball? What's going to be going on the next 6 months, year from now?
Well, I mean, honestly, the next 6 months, I think, is the biggest toss up, because the economic forecasters are saying the worst of the economics is going to hit us between August and December as the unemployment checks in and as our small businesses continue to go under, because that's just now happening as the furloughs pick up steam. So employment is going to be a big issue going into the fall. So I'm telling my sellers right now, this is a make hay while the sun shines moment. So if you need to sell between now and the end of the year, now's a great time. Could you be giving up a couple grand if it goes up? Maybe. I mean, who knows? Nobody knows. But if you must sell, now's a great time. If you must buy, now's a great time because the money's free. But I tell every buyer, I'm like, you're going to have to lose 5 bidding wars before you finally believe me and bid high enough to win. And it sucks. It sucks to go above asking price. And I feel you, and I don't like it either because I'm cheap. But I'm telling you, if you want to stop paying rent, you're going to have to suck it up, Buttercup, and let's get you there. And so I have a closing that's happening next week. They're saving $300 a month over what they were paying on rent. And they have major heartburn because they're a millennial couple. And so they're just scared out of their minds at that 30-year note. And I said, pumpkins, y'all could rent that thing out tomorrow for more than your mortgage payment. So you need to just gird your loins and forge ahead. And so that's what
I need her to do my buyer consultation. Like, I want to record it and just play it for him.
I'm for hire, Patrick. I'm very expensive, but
that's okay. We talk.
Well, Lee, thank you so much for your time. I know you're going to jump off sometime. If you are still around, love to keep talking and asking you questions. But why don't we jump over? Good. Juanita, why don't we jump over to you? What's going on in the COVID market now, or what's going on in your market in light of sort of the sheltering in place, quarantine being lifted in some ways? What's going on there, Juanita?
Yeah, so our market is right now just getting into what I would call a full pace spring market, where we usually get to that point where, you know, we're getting lots of calls, we're running hard, we're writing offers. And so, you know, our average price point is about 200, 220. And yet we have enough demand that if you're writing on anything under 250 or sometimes even close to 300, you're probably competing. If you're over the 300 marker, not quite as much, but still very competitive, anywhere between 5 to 20 offers.
What kind? Wow, 5 to 20 offers. What kind of home does that get you in Michigan?
So that gets you 3-bedroom, 1.5 to 2 bath, usually 2-stall garage, depending on, you know, where you want to live around, you know, which suburb or whatever. But yeah, interestingly, those older urban houses downtown have been increasing in value so much that you can almost get more by going outside of town, getting a little bit bigger yard, you know, your own little 1/4 acre fenced lot with an attached garage. So, but that's, again, like Lee said, a lot of competing, a lot of, you know, writing offers. We're seeing a combination of an appraisal waiver, gap waiver. So people saying I'll pay $5,000 or $10,000 gap if the appraisal comes in low. We're seeing escalation clauses. I'll pay X amount over the next guy. We're seeing shortened inspection periods. We're seeing waived inspections, or people who are bringing their inspector to the first showing so that they can write an offer that waives inspections completely. And a lot of times the winning bid is the person who's used a combination of all of the above. So yeah, it really, one thing that Lee mentioned that's really hits home here in our market is you really have to have that agent that knows what it's going to take to put that winning bid together and to communicate with the other agent to find out what's important to the seller. Is it time frame? We're seeing 30 to now sometimes 45 days after close for possession, which I know in some parts of the country are unheard of. Because we have those people that move here that like, what are you talking about? Somebody's going to live in my house for 30 days after I pay them for it.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are. If you want the house. So those are the kind of bidding that we're seeing here. And up until last year, if you were in the 300,000 range, it was a lot quieter. Now it's pretty busy up into almost the $400,000 range. So new built construction has gone from, you could get into something around 300 to now you're going to be at probably 380 for new construction.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Patrick, tell us a little bit about what's going on in Boston right now.
Juanita nailed it there with the fact that, you there's so many tools in the tool belt of how you can approach an offer, right? There's so many different parts of it that, can be on the table. And yeah, the offers that win right now, they're using all of those. And, you have buyers thinking, well, I made a great offer because it was over asking and I waived the home inspection. Well, the fact is we didn't think about a use and occupancy agreement. We're still only putting down 3.5%, 5%. We're competing against all cash in some places. So you got to use everything at this point. And so when you ask about Boston and what's going on, I consider there to be essentially 3 different markets in the areas that I service. There's the core of downtown Boston around the financial district and our Back Bay and our South End and Beacon Hill. And that stuff is really luxury product. And for the most part, it's sort of just flatlined. There's just...
What do you mean? So what's the price point and what do you expect to get in that if you were to move into that type of area?
A 2-bed, more like a 1-bed in an office and a high rise with, 1,000 square feet is probably going to cost you about 900,000. You may have a parking spot, you may not, depending on exactly where it is. But you got a doorman and an elevator, and you live in the city life. As you get into some of the secondary markets in Boston, a South Boston, a Jamaica Plain, a Dorchester, you can be getting anywhere from 1,200 to 1,400 square feet for that same 800,000, 900,000 range. So you're getting more for your money, but you're still really in the city itself. Those are getting very competitive. People want to be in that. And if you go down in price just by a little bit to that $700,000 range, it's definitely bidding wars from my perspective on everything. And then you move out into the suburban market, which is on fire compared to the city, where, if you are 18 miles outside of Boston in a halfway decent school district, and you're selling your $425,000 single family that might have 3 bedrooms, might have a bath and a half, and is 1,200 square feet, there's a good chance that if it's in decent condition, you're getting 50K over asking, no questions asked. And it makes it very hard to advise a buyer on where for an offer to go in at price point, because I can look back 6 months ago and tell you one thing. I can look back 2 months ago and tell you one thing. That might not be good enough for today and this weekend. Oh, Will, I lost you.
No, I'm here. Sorry about that. I was just saying that you need to have that current up-to-date information, and agents like yourself, top agents like us, have that information at our fingertips, and we're understanding week to week, almost day to day, what's going on, what's changing.
I would be calling Juanita and say, hey, listen, I saw that you put that one on last week. Did it really go for that much over? And just seeing what I can get out to advise on what are we going to do this weekend, buyer.
Right. How many offers did you get? What was the thing that made your seller choose that offer. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, and in Orange County specifically as a whole, the market itself for the month of May when it finalized, or yeah, for the month of May, like all the months are all blurred together. I was like, am I in June? Am I in July?
Yeah.
Where am I? I don't know.
One
Whatever.
big week.
Anyway, for the month of May when it was finalized, we noticed that the inventory level, based off inventory, it was a neutral market for all of Orange County. But if you look at certain pockets of areas and certain price points, yeah, those are a hot sellers market. But as a whole, based off of inventory, it was 3.6 months. Anything over 3 to 6 months is considered neutral. At the same time, if you dig into further in regards to the details, the days on market on average is 28 days, where on average for 2019, it was closer to 45, 47 days. And so despite the inventory going up, the demand has increased as well. From May to April, increased 80%. And the numbers that we have currently, June hasn't finalized yet, but that has also increased in comparison to May by another 45%. And so the demand is out there. People are out there purchasing, especially when they're all pent up in their homes. They're like, I need bigger space. I've lived in this place for too long. We saved up enough money. We haven't been impacted by the stocks, not by the health, not by work. Let's be able to move. Let's find the place, especially when you're not competing with all those people out there who are looky-loos at the open houses or whatever it may be. Now you're instead of competing against 7 to 10 or 12 offers, it may be 3 to 5 offers.
And we've got into a place in the market where most properties, and I'm 75%, if you're going to look at it, it's on an appointment basis, and you've probably sent your pre-approval letter ahead of time. Yep. You know, the further you get out from the city, and I'm talking 30 miles, they may still be running regular open houses where you show up and they're letting 2 people in at a time or something. But yeah, it's a totally different ball game. And I still am grappling with this fact that, you know, we're down statewide 32% inventory, and yet Boston and the immediate markets that touch it up 7%.
Interesting.
You hit on something too, Will, with everybody, so many people working from home, and now there's talk of that being extended out further and potentially even be a permanent situation for a lot of people. I know some of our clients who've gone back to work, they're still going to be working from home 3 days a week in the office too. And so that changes their dynamics at home from sitting at the kitchen table doing a little work occasionally to now they need definitely a designated space for that office. And so maybe they need one more bedroom or an office that they can call their own, that has caused them to maybe, you know, get off the fence a little bit and say, okay, we've been thinking about moving, now we really need to do it.
Absolutely.
What do you guys, I'll start with you, Juanita. What do you think the market is going to be going like in the next 6 months to a year? I'm sure we're seeing the trends right now, and yet what do you see?
We're seeing a very, very small number of people that are getting into a distressed situation, but because the demand is still so high, they're able to go ahead and sell and use that. We know that 50% of homeowners have about 50% or more equity in their homes right now. So we're seeing a small number of people, you know, liquefy that, go somewhere temporarily, pay off their debts, kind of get a fresh start. So I don't anticipate us to have any kind of big flood of foreclosures or short sales, just because most people have so much equity. In fact, we had one client that's only been in their house a year, and I think they're going to net over $20,000, and it wasn't a high price property just because the demand has shifted out further into suburbs that are further out. So I think you're going to see maybe a little bit more inventory because of the COVID and some people that are off work longer than they anticipated on being, but I don't think it's going to impact the real estate market in a negative way. It may actually free up some inventory for us just because of that, you know, those funds. I think we're still going to see some appreciation year over year, not in a crazy way, but you know, at least probably a 5% year over year appreciation.
How about you, Patrick? What do you see with your crystal ball in the next 6 months to the year?
I hate these questions. So, you know, I do think that we're probably going to continue to see some of this move away from the core, you know, flight that's been happening. And it makes sense. Listen, if if for 800,000, I'm in 1,000 square feet with really no office space in a high rise with no outdoor space, but I can move 30 miles away. And by the way, I'm only going to the office once a week at this point, and I'm on a half acre of land with, double the square footage. Sounds
half the
good.
price, right?
Yeah, it sounds good to people. And I think that fundamental potential shift in how we work will have a big impact, assuming that it continues to go that way. The other thing that I'm watching and I'm very curious about is our rental market, which is incredibly strong normally in Boston, thanks to just the transient nature of the universities and the colleges and, people coming in for their first job out of college. That has seen a skyrocket in number of listings. And for the most part, stuff is sitting on the market, stuff is going down in price. And I do slightly think that we're going to start to see more investor held properties sell because they are going to be sitting there without anyone to fill them. And really, it's in the core of the city. It's in the Fenway, it's in the Back Bay, it's in Beacon Hill. And that is a huge change because you're talking about properties that 6 months ago, I would have told you that you're not going to see a vacancy for the next 10 years unless you plan on renovating the kitchen. That's gone.
I think we're going to see, and we've seen a few more rental properties go on the market here too. But the reason being, and I don't know if it's this way everywhere, but in Michigan, you're not allowed to evict anybody no matter how long it has been since they've made a rental payment. Ooh. So you have these owners, a lot of ours are your mom, pa, they own 2, 3, 5, 10 rental properties that have sometimes, 40% of their renters have decided they don't have to pay right now because, the governor said you can't do anything about it. So that is putting some of those, property owners that have mortgages into a situation that's going to be not so fun here pretty soon. So hopefully it's not a huge number, but I have heard some rumors of people. I've gotten some calls from clients who've said, hey, my people aren't paying. They're not answering their phone. This is not normal for them, but what do I do? And so we've had to just kind of tell them you have to wait until that moratorium or whatever it's called is removed. And then at that point, you're going to have people who are going to be probably too far to get any grace from their landlords.
Right. Super fast. Yeah. Patrick, feel free.
Did you see that changing as things went on? Because I felt from the residential investment standpoint, the April rent was good. The May rent was pretty good. I've heard mixed feelings on June. Have you seen it progressively getting worse?
I haven't seen it progressively getting worse. It's just it got brought up to me a couple of different times from owners of properties, and so there was a little bit about it on the news as well. Someone who had 10 properties that only like 40% of them were paying.
Right.
Some people don't understand that this isn't just free rent time,
right.
And hopefully that's not the majority. But in Michigan, we had so many people all of a sudden on unemployment and the unemployment could not keep up. So we still have some people who've gone 6 weeks without a check and without employment. So that's going to catch up to some people at some point as well.
Yeah, and definitely in LA County, what we're seeing is that moratorium of if you have any case of COVID, health, work related, then you can't get evicted, right? So you just make a note. And so whether or not that be the case, you're just making a note until supposedly it's August and it might be revised later. Wouldn't be surprised with the way California is in regards to their stance with tenants.
And ours is for everybody. Doesn't matter if you have COVID, if you're unemployed, it's just in a blanket across the books rule. So yeah, they don't even have the eviction courts or foreclosure courts are not open. But what's going to happen is, the foreclosure, the banks, if there are people that are behind, they're not going to wait. As soon as that gets opened back up, they're going to be, filing foreclosures. So
they'll probably be first in line before the eviction stuff too. Oh, right. Makes me sick.
It's interesting too, because like Orange County, it's only distressed properties, foreclosures and short sales, only 1% or less. So there's not much out there. And yet at the same time, with mortgage forbearance, with people being able to, because of COVID, and right now there's a stronger lockdown. And the shelter in place and quarantine, who knows what's going to be, but it might be longer than when it was initially in March, right?
It's
Especially
worse
with the
for you
cases
right
going up
now.
in California.
You're worse right now, lockdown wise, rules around that?
No, it's not right now, but I can project and see maybe
That's
potentially that could
Yeah.
be the line. Because I was supposed to, I participate in my church's youth ministry, and we were supposed to go to San Diego for the weekend. It was
Yep.
supposed to be 4 days. San Diego just yesterday told us cancel everything. You guys can't come. We're in lockdown basically. We can't have anyone overnight. And so it's just very interesting to see on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour basis in California, what's going on, what are the new policies, what are the mandates? Because a couple of weeks ago, when I did this housing update in the US, masks were just recommended, not mandatory. Now it's back to it's mandatory.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how those things play out, shake into real estate. As of right now, it doesn't seem like real estate has been impacted much by it, by those who have the affordability to be able to purchase.
Thing is we don't have any data on it at this point, so we're seeing what we're seeing as far as impact, but we have no data to be able to really project that. So,
yeah.
But again, I think because we have so much demand, I don't think it's going to have a huge impact. For some people, it might actually, have some opportunities that have not been out there in, at least 2 years.
Well, that's the thing when I think there's a lot of buyers that saw this as a potential moment for prices to come down.
Yep.
And the fact is, we are so far behind for inventory levels that you could probably bring 20,000 new units to market. And yes, if you did that overnight, there'd probably be a week of, hey, what is going on here?
Right.
But very quickly after that, I think we would just kind of balance out at worst.
Yeah.
Yeah. Inventory levels in Orange County specifically dropped from last year. Obviously with COVID and everything, that's going to impact it. But from last year, dropped by 48%. And the average price point in Orange County is $940, right? This is like a probably 3 to 4 bed, 2.5 bath, 13, maybe up to 1,500 square feet. Lot is like 7,500, 8,000 square foot lot. So you don't get much. Obviously certain areas are going to be better. But
did you feel last year was a seller's market for you as well?
Yep.
Yeah, so this year it's just bananas seller's market.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like we talked about, it's the record low interest rates.
Everybody kept thinking that was going to ease up, and it hasn't at all.
Yeah. But it's been a big issue in regards to inventory. Let's wrap this up with fun things. I would ask you, I don't know how long you've been sheltering in place for in your area, but what is one thing you've appreciated about your home since having to shelter in place? Patrick.
Great restaurants that still let you do takeout.
Nice.
Big time.
Juanita, how about you?
I just had some really nice landscaping done in my backyard. So being able to just sit out there and sit on the patio or whatever with my computer and my puppy dogs and my hubby. Yeah.
For me, is working from home. I have 2 kids. My oldest is going to be 5 in November. My youngest is 2. And so being able to work from home, even though it's just like I'm locked up in my room, just being able to be there, hearing them screaming and not being able to help with anything. But I'm around, if anything does really go bad, I can cancel those meetings in that regard. If you had $250,000, I mean, $250,000 for us would be sizable enough, because if the quarantine does get extended or it's a more stricter shelter in place, what would you change about your house, Patrick? If you had to shelter in place longer, what would you change about your house?
I would probably buy a different house, but if I had to just use it on this house, I would see if I could make an addition. Really, we live in a multifamily that we own. We rent out the top floor. We're in a small first floor unit. I would see if I could double the size of it. Really.
Where would you move?
I would probably use that to buy another multifamily, actually closer to Boston, and take the gamble that things are going to be okay at some point.
Like you're saying, there's an opportunity there for those who are looking and watching. This sounds like there's an opportunity there.
I think so, if only because I think people are starting to get skittish on well, wait, who's going to be my tenant? Are they going to be able to pay? And yeah, there may be some rocky times there, but I think that, listen, I'm not ready to make a call on the urban exodus is going to last and we're going to see, things go back to the way they were in the middle of 1970s in our cities. But, maybe we'll see.
Juanita, what about you? If you had the money to repair your home or upgrade your home, or if there's an area you would move, what would you do?
Oh, I would move. We moved into kind of a property that we bought to somewhat flip a couple of years ago. So in another year or so, we'll have that done. And our next house, I'm thinking a pool, maybe a lake. Um, yeah, nice big open spaces, lots of light, big windows, big kitchen, and a walk-in pantry. Not that I've been thinking about it.
For me, definitely the area and opportunity in Orange County is Irvine. Irvine is like the #1 city. A lot of people here, if you think about Southern California, it's about Irvine. School districts, safety, the businesses that are coming into the area. At the same time, that area's inventory is a neutral market as well. And with all the development and new development that's going on there, I think it's getting a little oversaturated, or if not really dense in certain parts of that area. And so I think that's an opportunity to keep an eye on and potentially pick up, especially if we had to shelter in longer because of the school districts and things like that. Last thing is, if you had an investor were to come up to us three and they were saying, I want to invest my money into your area, why would they want to invest with you? Patrick, you and your area in Boston.
Sure. Well, in the area, I think that's an easy one in the sense that we are so diversified industry-wise between lab and technology and healthcare and higher education, finance, that, you know, we could see an industry drop off the table and we're still probably going to be okay. Our eggs are pretty diverse. Yeah, we have challenges in terms of public transportation and infrastructure, but you know, the resurrection here of what we have going on in the last 20 years has really been incredible. So, you know, and it's still cheap on the world stage. If you look at Beijing and Shanghai and Dubai and London and San Francisco compared to Boston, we're actually pretty cheap. So I like that. And why work with me? Well, man, I've just been doing it for 12 years and I love it. And my nose is to the grind every day on it. It's awesome.
Awesome. Same question to you, Juanita. If an investor were to come to you, why would they invest in you or your area?
All right, I'm going to answer for the area first as well. Our area has a lot of draw to it, whether it's families or single people or old or young. That downtown area, like I mentioned, is really vibrant, and it just has something for everyone, every kind of restaurant, activities, children's museums. We're a 30 to 40 minute from the beach, which is a nice perk. We have beautiful seasons in the winter time. It's just gorgeous here. For rental properties, we are very affordable. We have a lot of people who actually invest here from California because our prices are so reasonable. And we have a lot of colleges in the area, and we have a lot of medical schools, and we call it the medical mile. Downtown has multiple hospital chains, including the U of M has just different buildings there where they train. And so we have a lot of people who come here for internships or for college, and they don't leave. So then their parents come here. So we have a growing population, and usually they want to rent for a year or two before they purchase. People come here for 4 years for college. You get a good group of renters that you can keep in there for a good 4 years. So as far as choosing me, 16 years in the business. And actually, my husband is my buyer's agent, and he is like a dog after a bone. He does not let go. Sometimes to my chagrin, it's 11 o'clock at night, stop looking at properties, 7 o'clock in the morning, he's checking the hot sheet. But he is on track for his goal this year, which is above last year, despite COVID and everything. And he just runs hard, and we work as a team. We fill in for each other to make sure that our people get into those properties and negotiate hard, and other agents love him. So sometimes they'll choose his offer over what some people call better offers because they just like working with him. So
that's huge.
It is.
For me, if the investor were thinking about moving to California, why not? We almost got the sunshine tax. We're so close to the beach, Huntington Beach, Newport. We're also so close to LA, downtown LA, with the new football stadium that's coming. Disneyland, the suburban lifestyle, you got it all. You got the universities in LA, SC, from all over the place. UCI, great universities and medical schools there. And in regards to myself, in regards to picking me, young, hungry, and willing to hustle. Top 20% in my market center, chief of finance in regards to the board of directors there. And yeah, just looking to be able to help serve another family. And we were able to just do one with a vet, 3% down. I was able to help a vet buy a property with 3% down, competed against 6 other offers, and we were able to win. We were
That's
able to win and get it done, close in 21 days. And so,
great.
Yeah, so super excited about that and the different opportunities. With that said, I wanted to thank Patrick and Juanita. Thank you so much. I know you both are super busy, especially being in the East Coast. Time is a little different. And so I appreciate you taking the time to share with us what's going on in your marketplace. Maybe to close, can you share a little bit if there are people interested in your area or interested about your area? What's the best place or what's the best way to reach out to you? Patrick.
For me, JuanitaBusCard.com, 616-292-8429, call, text, and yeah, we'll help you, educate you through the process and get you where you need to go.
You know, if they follow me on Instagram and reach out over there, they'll probably see most of what I'm about, and it's at boston.real.estate.
Perfect. And for me, you can reach out to me with cell phone 949-346-1810. Again, 949-346-1810. Or on social media, it's Will Lau, or on Instagram, it's will.lau2. So you can follow me there. Again, thank you so much to our panelists.
Thanks for having us, man.
I know she had to jump off early, but I appreciate you guys taking the time, and look forward to try to get us back into the gallery view. I look forward to us doing another update in the coming weeks, if not the coming month, and see how things are going.
Thanks so much, Will.
Hope you and your family stay safe and well. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye for now.